This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. This is Jessica.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Sorry about the little delay.
Excellent. Oh, goodness. No, no worries. It's perfect. I just got home from swimming with my son. I'm settling him in, so this is good.
Great. Good. Perfect. So before we get started, do you have any questions of me about the study you're in?
That's a great question. I didn't. I'm usually one just really open to providing the answers, but I loved reading a little bit about what the study is about, and anything that you can or are willing to share about what you do and where this is heading would be awesome.
Sure. So I'm a graduate student, and I've been studying reproductive health for a while. It's just been my interest. And I got into surrogacy, like the exact way, it's hard to and I asked this to my participants, like, how did you figure out surrogacy was for you? And they're like, I don't remember exactly how I heard of it, but somehow I did and got reading about it. And plus I have family and friends. So that's probably how I already knew about it. And just started reading more and realized that we've had a lot written about the ethics or is it good, is it bad, or whatever, or opinions, I guess, with not a lot of data from surrogates or intended parents, especially in the United States. And so
right.
what we do have is international, which is a totally different experience, different laws, different interactions, different proximities that's going to affect the relationship. And so we just don't know as much about your all's experience, and my goal is to just kind of figure out what's going on. So in that sense, I don't have any set, and that's also a product of the kind of research I do. So when I do more qualitative interview research, it's not like a preset hypothesis or idea, it's kind of more exploratory. And so that's what I've been doing. And so I don't have any ideas yet exactly of where the data will go. But what I always tell my participants is, so yesterday someone asked me a similar question, where do you want to go with this? And so my answer always is, and this is truthful and not trying to be cheesy, is that my intention is to give you all voice in whatever it is you say is about your experience. So it's, my opinion is not part of this, if that makes sense. So when I write it out, it's supposed to be what you all said and based on your experiences. Some people had better, some people had really great, and I don't think there's been I haven't found, there's no answer it's totally awesome or it's evil and everyone suffers or anything like that, right? I think each journey's been unique, and maybe we'll be able to find some patterns in one direction or another, but at this point it's been really exploratory. But good in that sense. I'm learning a lot, I think. If that makes sense.
I appreciate that level of honesty. I'm happy to provide the specific questions that you may have. Some of what you just said, I'd love to just share, my opinion. It's not founded on any science.
Right.
But for example, where you said, there's some patterns, I personally do feel that there are.
Right.
And while every journey is entirely unique, like any other pregnancy, right? Even if it's your own 2 kids or 3 kids, I have 2 of my own.
Mm-hmm.
There are, in my opinion, certain demographics that are more keen to going through surrogacy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there are the parameters of age. There's, obviously cultural and religious beliefs and all of that.
Sure.
And then there's an area that, my case, again, every case is unique, but mine is, I think, more rare.
Mm-hmm.
I think I shared with you already, I gave birth to twins, and one was actually giving up. And so the twins are separated, but the 2 families keep in close contact. We're actually all meeting next week,
mm-hmm.
Again, together, and that whole dynamic. But the twins that I gave birth to are not genetically related. They are 2 eggs and 2 sperms.
Okay.
So from that perspective, on a greater philosophical question, if you will, and there is a medical term for this, you'll probably know better than me, but for like twins like this, because I'm not like the first. They're just rare.
Right.
So it's one of those where the twins are not genetically related in any way, shape, or form,
Right.
other than they were roommates, right? For me. So, I joke and tell my friends and my husband that, 30 years from now, the dating scene is going to be very different. Where now, people date and they tell you, you have to like get tested and make sure you don't have STDs or this or the other. 30 years from now, the way that surrogacy is becoming a thing now, which is fantastic that it's offering families the option to grow their family. Now, you have to test if you are not dating and ready to marry a potential relative.
Right.
In the case of the baby girl that I gave birth to, she was a donated embryo from husband and wife who conceived their family and, didn't know what to do with the rest of the embryo. So they donate them.
Right.
So she does have biological brothers and sisters somewhere out there.
Yeah.
And who's to say that one day she's going to meet this guy and he still happens to be her biological brother?
Right.
And morally and philosophically, the twins, can they marry each other?
Right.
Technically, yes. They're not related. Morally, will the courts allow that?
No, that's
probably not.
And it sounds, I mean, not to me, but it sounds so sci-fi, right? Like in the future, we'll have to make sure we're not related. And it's like, really? But I think that's actually like very truth, like very real, like a close reality. People have written about this a little bit too, just because I've read in the area, like egg donor, people who are born through an egg donor, lots of times egg donors donate a lot, more than once, or a sperm donor. And so you have siblings in that sense connected, and they go on and because of the internet, right, you could go on the internet and kind of find this, and they're finding some of these have like a 10 sibling group, right? And so they're somehow related somehow genetically through like egg donation or sperm donation, and they kind of get together and make this like pseudo family online and find each other. And then also, I was just talking to someone who actually is identifies as Jewish, and I've read some books about surrogacy in Israel, and too, like they talk about that. There's concern of how to make sure the baby is born Jewish. Like if you are Jewish, you want your baby to be Jewish. But then there's also like, because Jewish people are not, it's a smaller group. There's that concern again of, like, if you used only Jewish eggs within the surrogacy community of Jewish people, you're gonna get this cross, like only so many Jewish eggs, right? And so,
absolutely,
so the worry is, again, like you said, like that one day you'll have incest and not know,
Absolutely, and I can speak a little bit to the Jewish piece of it. My ex-husband is Jewish, and I understand the importance for the religion that you are Jewish if born through a Jewish mother, right? And so this is why for them it has to be specifically, a Jewish woman, which the price is higher for those that get compensated as well.
Yeah.
So in that regard, you have that dynamic. But also, in general terms, if you've ever, obviously you're in this field, but you go to the doctor and you fill out a form and they do ask you, are you of Ashkenazi descent, within the Jewish race, versus other types of Jewish, because they do have the medical lineage, like a lot of the Ashkenazi branch, almost, if you will, can have, I forget what it's called, but there is something, and you would probably know, I presume.
Like an ally
there's something
in their DNA?
Yes, there is something in their genes
that,
they're more susceptible to something else.
Right.
So what happens is, like, okay, mom and dad maybe don't have this gene, but your surrogate may, and there's all kinds of testing, and you do this PGS testing before actually creating the embryos and so forth, but you just never know. Things can happen, and absolutely, whether it's a matter of incest genetics or a matter of now inbreeding other type of genetics that could be causing something down the line.
Right.
It's definitely, it's a beautiful thing, and personally, like, no regrets. I get it, and it's why a lot of the religious aspects of it in any religion, right? Catholics particularly are against it,
right,
because